I'm Thelma Jones with the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. Welcome to this mixed bag of weather, a very hot climate, and it's raining and storming in some places. But regardless of what your weather is like, I am honored and very pleased that you have chosen to be here with the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. Tonight is a special night, of course, not to offend others who were here other nights, but tonight is an extra special night. As you may know, every year in July, we have an evening with Smith Center here, and we've been doing this this is our 6th year now. And I am happy to say that throughout these 6 years, we've welcomed all of Smith Center's executive directors, including their founder. We have also had an opportunity to hear from practically all of their staff, and we're really happy to have Lisa Sims Booth here, their current Smith Center's current executive director. We are always happy to see Julie Rowland, who has been around in my circle for years, and of course, Erin Price, who does a wonderful job at Smith Center for Healing and the Arts on young survivors. And I might mention that it was Shanti Norris, who was a longtime executive director for Smith Center, who actually helped me in formulating our mission statement. So a shout out to Shanti, and I still hear from her every now and then, and I trust that you will give her my regards. So Smith Center and Thelma and the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund has had a long history. Many of you have heard me talk about the great program of patient navigation, and I won't go into too many details because I don't want to steal Lisa's thunder. But Smith Center is the organization that trained me to be one of the world's, not country, but one of the world's best patient navigators. And so, of course, when I took the training to become a certified health worker, a CHW, many of the people were asking me, well, so why are you doing this? In other words, why are you punishing yourself to come to class 3 nights a week and all day and 4 hours on Saturday when you're already a trained patient navigator? But, there's always something that we can learn that has a different element of a similar program. So I am honored that Smith Center taught me to be an excellent patient navigator. And I have participated in their wonderful retreats off-site. If you have not attended one, I would encourage you to do so. I have also been a part of at least 2 videos that Smith Center has done. So as you can see, my roots are deep with Smith Center, and I am so happy again that they are here. I want to thank and welcome again everyone, whether you're local or whether you're like my board members, Scarlett Small, who is hailing from, she's been a California girl tonight. So thank you, Scarlett, for being with us, and we'll hear from Scarlett later on. The mission of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund is to help to reduce the incidence and mortality rates of breast cancer. And we do this through outreach, support, and education while advocating for a better life for cancer survivors, and particularly breast cancer survivors. Our mission is to help embrace and achieve a world free of breast cancer. Our monthly support group meeting is our signature program. And while the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund first started in April 2010 as a support group, we have now evolved to a full-fledged organization. And in September, the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund will be celebrating its 12th anniversary and the 72nd year of my birthday. And as I'm looking at myself on the screen, I probably don't look a day over 16. Well, maybe 17, but any higher age would be pushing it a bit. So, and I hope that you will come back to be a part of that. I am going to turn it over now to our executive director of the Smith Center for Healing and the Arts, Lisa Sims Booth, and allow her to tell us about the wonderful program that we have in store. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Thelma. It's always wonderful to be here with you and the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. You know, I am a huge fan of yours. And as I was telling Scarlett earlier, I do pretty much whatever you tell me. And so the first year when you said July is Smith Center, I was like, okay. And so here we are. And, you know, I've been with Smith Center now coming up on 5 years. And so this is my, I don't know, 4th time being with you, I think. And I know I know Jennifer was here before me, but yeah, really grateful to be here and grateful to have my colleagues here. And you're a big fan of Smith Centers, but we are also a big fan of yours. And I just want you to know that. But I want to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. And we really are thrilled to be able to bring a topic that we feel is really important. And as Thelma has shared a lot about our work, but I wanted to highlight, you know, our logo says that we focus around community, creativity, and cancer support. And I think that those things really do sort of encompass where we, how we approach the work. And really one of our missions, in our mission statement, it says, we don't want anyone to walk this journey alone. You know, and I think that is a big part of what drives the work that we do in terms of our cancer programming and much of our other programming as well. But we offer support groups and healing circles and the patient navigation and the retreats. You know, all of that is a way to support you on the journey, but also let you know that you are not alone. That there are, it's just the same, some of the work that you're doing, Thelma, that, you know, this is a hard road to be on when you get a cancer diagnosis, a very lonely and isolating one at that. And so knowing that you have people in your corner, knowing people who understand what you're going through and are supportive, and also see you still as you and not just a patient, and that's just a cancer patient, is also really critical, which is why our arts programming and other programs are so important, because we get to tap into all those things that still make you who you are, and we hope to spark some of that joy but also resilience and all of those things. But tonight we wanted to think about the hard emotional, mental aspects of a diagnosis. And I'm thrilled to have my colleague Erin Price with us, who is I think one of the shining lights in the cancer work. And she was honored some years ago as being one of the best and brightest under whatever age group, I think under 30 or under 40. And she really is deserving of that honor, because she really is doing groundbreaking work. And she's a social worker by trade, you know, and by training, and has been trained in oncology social work at that. But she brings so much more to the table. And so I'm really thrilled to be able to have her share some of her expertise tonight as we talk about how do we handle the stress of a diagnosis? How do we handle the stress of going through the journey and the anxiety? And what does all that really mean? And then how do you come away with an action plan or a wellness plan for you to kind of help you cope with those strategies? And I know that many of us, just in general, given the crazy world we're living in, could all use some tips on how to handle some of the anxiety and stress that we're all facing. And so I think tonight is really going to be important for all of us in whatever journey we may be on. I'm also thrilled that our colleague Julia Rowland is also here tonight, who is a preeminent expert on cancer survivorship and one of the leading lights in that area. And so I'm thrilled that Julia could also attend tonight. I think one of the things, and I'm going to start over with to Aaron to sort of kick us off, but I think, we talk about at Smith Center that we want to focus and support you on your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual journey. Like, we focus on all aspects of you, the whole person. We don't see you just as, we see all of you. We want to support all of you. And that's why I think topics like tonight are so important, because I think often the mental and emotional aspects of cancer are sometimes overlooked and not given the same emphasis. And I think at Smith Center, we really focus on that, and that's why the programming that we offer really sort of hones in around those things, because it's equally important to have your all of you sort of being taken care of. So I don't know, Aaron, do you have anything to add to that before we get started, and Julia as well, and then we'll jump into the presentation.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. You've teed it up nicely, and really, as Lisa shared, the topic is to, how do you navigate and, create a wellness plan in light of cancer, but also works with all other life stressors, of which there are many right now. So please apply however you see fit.
Julia, I'll let you jump in if you'd like before we get started.
One of the big lessons we've learned, and we keep learning it over and over and over again, is that we have to take care of the whole person. Just as Thelma said, that healing is really a whole person activity. It's not just about a body part or a particular type of disease. It's all the things that go with being human, and that very human side of cancer, which is so important to address across the, the journey of cancer, wherever that takes one.
Yes, thank you for that, Julia. And I believe, and healing to us doesn't mean curing, but healing means tapping into that inner resilience, finding your own path, finding what you need, and what does healing mean for you. And so I think it can be really easy to focus on a cure or a treatment, but that's not what we're talking about. And so I think that's why organizations like ours are so special, and the work that Thelma's doing is so important, because people really need to have that anchoring and that someone to reach out to when they need support on this journey. So with that, Erin has a wonderful some PowerPoint slides, and we're going to talk a little bit. She's going to share a lot of information, but I think this is going to be one of those presentations where you might want to jot a few things down, because I think that there are going to be some things that you're going to be able to tuck away and use. And personally, I've already seen like the slides, but I'm ready to learn some things too, because it's hard out here right now. And I'll admit that my mental state and my anxiety is through the roof. And so I'm looking forward to getting some new tools for my toolkit as well. So Aaron now. Oh, go ahead, Thelma.
No, and Lisa and Aaron, because I could tell it's going to be great how you're pumping this up. So we want to be able to put this on the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund website later on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm happy to share handouts of the slides to if you would like to share those as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm assuming you all can see my PowerPoint.
We can see it.
Wonderful. All right. So thank you for the wonderful introduction. I am an oncology social worker by training. I have been at Smith Center for 12 years, and I've known Thelma probably from month 1 or 2 of being there, I think. I help run some of our psychosocial support programs, as well as our navigation program. And incidentally, I'm also almost a 14-year breast cancer survivor myself. So I have seen a lot of sides of this, right? As a helper, as a survivor, as a caregiver of loved ones and friends. And receiving a cancer diagnosis takes an emotional toll, no matter what side of it you're on. So today we're really going to talk about what are normal responses to a cancer diagnosis or cancer treatment. Let's talk a little bit about what the stress response in our body is. We're going to talk through some ways to cope, and then I'm going to actually lead you through starting to build a coping plan, and we'll run through some kind of things that you want to think about to build this coping plan for navigating any life stressor. So if you'd like to participate in that part and you want to follow along, I'd encourage you to grab something to write with, or digital notes app on your phone, or pen and paper, whatever works for you. Crayons, marker, charcoal, whatever. So let's start out with normal emotional responses to cancer. If any of you in the room have ever thought, wow, I feel crazy. I feel like, this is making me crazy, and I don't know how to react. Is this normal? Really, the answer is yes. The normal emotional response to cancer are all over the place. It ranges from everything from shock and disbelief, to overwhelm, to panic, to guilt, to anger, to existential crisis, to gratitude, to hope, to sadness, to stress, to grief, to release, anything else. There is no right way to cope with cancer. That's the bottom line here. However you're coping, whatever you're feeling, it's normal. There's no wrong. You're not doing it wrong. And yet there may still be strong emotions. There may still be stress. There may still be anxiety that we want to feel like we have some tools to get through, right? To cope with. Just because you're feeling a strong emotional doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's wrong, but it might still mean that you want some support. So my bottom line here is you're not crazy. The situation of dealing with cancer can be crazy. But before we get into how we cope with these emotions, I do want to take a quick detour to talk a little bit about our body's stress response. And I think this is a little bit helpful to just understand how we deal with stressful situations in our body, and then how we can use that to our advantage. So what is stress? We often talk about it, but to actually dive into what the definition of stress is, it's a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that the demand exceeds their resources. The key word here is perception, the perception that a person cannot cope with a given stressor. A really key thing to note here is that because stress is based on perception, what one person considers to be stressful, someone else might not. So a classic example here is one person might absolutely love public speaking, and another person may experience a panic attack at the sheer thought of public speaking. It's the same exact experience, but you have two different responses, and that's based on the individual's perception. And to expand on this, not all stress is bad, right? So we often think of stress as negative, but our body has learned to adapt and respond to life-threatening stress for survival, right? A tiger is chasing us. We want our body to produce those stress response. We want that burst of adrenaline. We want our body systems to optimize so that we can run away. And that is good stress. It has an important function, and it's supposed to be short term. So we see the stressor, our body responds, we remove the threat. And once we find safety, our body can then begin to calm back down to normal. But it's really important to know that our body will respond to stressors in similar ways. So you might feel stress when you're driving in a car and you swerve to avoid an accident, but you also might feel a very similar stress response when you turn on your computer and you see a work email that you've been dreading. One of those scenarios is potentially life-threatening. The other one, hopefully not. But our body will physically respond in a very similar way oftentimes. All stress kind of looks the same to it. And so while you may want the adrenaline rush that comes with trying to avoid the accident or to running away from the tiger, it might not be helpful to have that adrenaline rush when you're responding to emails. And another note is that chronic stress is when we have a stressor that doesn't go away. So our body starts to live in this state of a stress response, which really isn't ideal. Essentially, our body never really gets to go back down to that state of equilibrium and regulation, and it throws all of our systems out of balance. But there are things that we can do to help our body find balance again. But as you can imagine, receiving a cancer diagnosis, living with the stress of that, living with the fear of will it come back, or the long-term side effects from it, might leave you feeling like you're living in a state of chronic stress. So how do we help our body get back to equilibrium? I do want to note that there is a difference between stress and emotions. So emotions are an evolutionary function. We can't get rid of them. All humans have them, whether we like it or not. They serve a purpose, right? They give us very useful information about how we're feeling about something. If we're feeling sadness, maybe we are looking for connection. If we're feeling anger, maybe it's because something was unfair. If we're feeling fear, maybe it means we need protection. But stress, while it is a function of our body that is helpful, it can be addressed and managed. It typically comes down, again, to our belief if we can cope with a given stressor or not. And this belief is often based in our prior experiences. So this experience of stress might begin to feel very automatic, visceral, and that's because it is. Our bodies learn to react quickly and strongly to stress through past experiences. And so think about this in terms of maybe medical scan anxiety. So many cancer survivors experience that anxiety when you go back for a scan. And at some level, you are usually diagnosed with cancer after a scan of some sort. Your brain then associates that scan with the stress of a cancer diagnosis and treatment, with receiving that bad news. So the next time you go to get a scan, your body and your brain sort of automatically perceive this threat, and you have anxiety, right? So there's a lot of kind of this, your body remembering things that were hard and responding accordingly. So how do we counteract this? We have one nervous system in our body, the same nervous system that's navigating recovering from cancer, that's managing long-term side effects, that's trying to get back to quote unquote normal, is also navigating our emotions. And so you can see that it's pretty important for us to learn to be able to manage our stress response and find calm when we aren't actually being chased by the tiger. And so what I wanted to show you through the last few slides is that there is this mind-body connection, right? And how can we leverage this mind-body connection to support our emotional health? This idea that our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our attitudes can positively and negatively affect our biology and physiology, that our body's experiences and perceptions can impact our mental and physiologic state. And that means we have some control here. Even when we feel like we are out of control. I like this quote, removing threats is not always possible, but interrupting the stress response is possible, right? We can't change that there's a threat, but we can perhaps influence how we react to it, how we respond to it. So how do we interrupt this stress response? One really powerful way, though it's certainly not the only way, but one really powerful way is mindfulness-based interventions. There's a wealth of evidence behind them demonstrating how impactful they can be in improving a whole host of symptoms, including physiologic function, cognitive function, emotional well-being, fatigue, anxiety, depression, stress, distress. So what mindfulness techniques are helpful? This is a very short list. There are many, many, many other options. This is not exhaustive, but I'm curious, what do some of you do to help alleviate stress? I don't know if you want to put them in the chat, or if anyone wants to just throw out a quick word or two about what helps you when you are feeling stressed. If there's anything in the chat, maybe Julie or Lisa can shout them out.
I don't see anything yet, but I'm watching. I can definitely I just had a conversation yesterday, so I'm sort of chuckling a little bit, smiling about this slide, because I was talking with a friend who's under a lot of stress, and I said, what do you do that helps you kind of, feel a little better, stepped out? I shared that I like to go out, take a walk in nature, and that I listen to music. And those are my two things. And so I got her thinking about what her two things were. Scarlett shared that meditation works for her. What do you think, Thelma? What do you do?
Definitely listening to music and taking a walk. I was fortunate, my son, who is on the phone, recently installed Alexa, and Alexa and I have become two buddies, and it's amazing what that has done.
Hold on, I have a question.
Yeah.
Juanetta, do you have a question? Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Seneca, can you please mute me? Okay. Hi, I'm Seneca's mom.
Oh,
I'm on
hello.
the chat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He has me in another room and I can hear my echo. But so my question is, so I'm a soon to be new grandmother, and my daughter is like freaking out because her breasts are like super tender, and she's like, Mom, she's freaking out. And a few weeks ago, I did my self check, and I saw a lump, but it wasn't anything that I know I'm over 40, all right? So I'm not even sure like how to guide her, you know what I mean? Because I know that, with new birth, there's the lumps in the breast, whatever, but I'm 41 in August, and I noticed a lump, but I'm just like, maybe that's just because me breastfeeding over the years. I'm not sure, but how does I don't even know like what my question is at this point. Like how do like I don't know. I don't know. Like how do you guide a new expectant mother on like breast health or whatever? What are your tips on that?
I mean, I think I'll speak, and then if Thelma, you want to add in anything, but I think my thoughts on that are, you know your body best, right? And each
Mhm.
woman knows their body best, and
Right?
you are the expert on you. And so if something feels off, if something
Mhm.
doesn't feel right, or you're concerned at all,
Mhm.
that's when you are perfectly reasonable to go to your healthcare provider and say,
That's
hey,
right.
I'd like to get this checked out.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
any sort of lump or anything that feels off or wrong, there's
Mm.
no dumb question.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And healthcare providers should be well trained in navigating all of that. Thelma, do you have
Okay.
anything
I
else
would
to
I
add?
would also jump in for
Oh,
Thelma.
sorry.
No, no worries, Aaron. I would also jump in if she's breastfeeding. There are lactation specialists that may also be able to assist here with her. I don't know if she's been talking to some of them, but that may also be a help.
Yes.
But definitely anything that doesn't feel right, I
Okay.
agree with Aaron. She should get that checked out.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And I totally agree what both of you have said. If there is any abnormal lump, bump that's not normally there, we want to get that checked out right away.
Right.
It could be anything, and it
Mhm.
definitely doesn't necessarily mean because you have a lump or bump
Right.
that it is breast cancer.
Right.
Whenever given the fact that African American women deal with a lot of stress
Mhm.
on daily lives, our daily
Mhm.
living, if we can minimize it by just going to the doctor and
Right.
getting that checked out, you will be doing yourself
Yes,
a
ma'am.
world of good. Because keep in
Yes,
mind,
ma'am.
as a parent with young children, if you
Mhm.
are stressed out, they will feel that stress as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate
I would
this.
I would add too to that just sort of from a larger perspective is that having that happen is stressful. And one way to alleviate that stress is to take action. So
Yes.
what you're really doing is directly addressing the source of your anxiety. And I think what women need to be encouraged is the vast majority of time these tend to be benign conditions, but you want to rule that out. That's why you're stressed. So a great way to do that is to go to your medical team or whoever's caring for her actively now, whether it's her OBGYN or a lactation specialist, whoever she's seeing regularly, and just say, hey, is this normal? Because haven't been pregnant before, or this has not happened before. What's going on?
Thank you, Julia.
And you'll
Yeah.
be coming up pretty soon, because you said you're 40 or you're about to turn 41. I hope you have had a mammogram or that is in the early stage of having that scheduled, because the recommendation now is definitely starting at 40, unless you have some family history of it, or if you detect some abnormal growth, because breast cancer is occurring, as Lisa, Aaron, and Julie knows, much earlier, and particularly in African American women. So like Julia and the rest said, you want to take action to not only minimize your stress, but to eliminate it and find out what's causing the lump, or why is it.
Well said, Thelma. Absolutely. I hope that was helpful information. So a few more people to segue back into this topic around the stress. Some other people put in music, meditation, exercise, unplugging, yoga, and breathing exercises is some other ways.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sharing that. And I think, again, you may hear me say this a lot, but one of the things to underscore is that what works for one person may not work for someone else. One person might find breathing exercises and meditation to be incredibly, incredibly soothing. Someone else, that might stress them out more. So don't feel bad if someone else's stress reduction is not your jam. That is okay. You're an individual. You're allowed to have different interests and different things that help you. So find what works for you. Again, these are ideas, but you know yourself best. So explore, right? Explore, try new things, find what helps you to reduce your stress or helps you to just escape a little bit. So I'm gonna ask us if we can take 2 minutes. I'm gonna guide us through a breathing mindfulness exercise that I find to be really easy and simple to do. And maybe this will be helpful for you, maybe it won't, but I'm gonna invite you to try it with me. So I'm gonna ask you to hold one hand out in front of you. And with your other hand, I'm gonna guide you through it, but we're gonna trace one finger up to the top of your each finger as we breathe in, and we're going to trace the finger down as we breathe out. We're going to trace our whole hand, and I'm going to guide you through a pace, and then we're going to come back. And then I just want to offer, if touching your hands for some reason, if touching your skin is uncomfortable, you can also just use your eyes to visually trace it, right? So either do it with your hand or just do it with your eyes, whatever works for you. All right. We're going to breathe in and out, 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 back in and out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, and out. Okay. Thank you. Sometimes that's a helpful, just little reset, something to do in between. It gives you something to focus on. Sometimes people have a trouble with just sitting and breathing or sitting and meditating. So if you're one of those people doing something like this or a walking meditation or something that's a little more structured, might help you focus on that as sort of a breath reset. So if you loved that, I hope you can use it. If you hated it, no worries, no judgment. It's totally fine. And so this leads me into our discussion on healthy ways to reduce stress attend to our emotions, which, as we've already discussed today, is so important to help us manage side effects, prevent future issues, develop skills to deal with any future stressor, cancer or not, and also give us space to heal and grow. So here's a list of some healthy coping strategies that have been helpful for other cancer survivors. This is, again, not an exhaustive list, but people have found that, you know, if you're able to find a way to express your feelings, again, this could be verbally talking, it could be writing, it could be through paint or art or even exercise, right? Finding your outlet for expressing your feelings, not bottling it up, can be really helpful. Try not to blame yourself for your cancer, right? It happens. We don't always know why people get cancer. It doesn't necessarily mean it's your fault. In fact, most of the time it's not your fault. So try to let go of that blame if you're feeling it. Try not to be upbeat if you're not feeling it. We all have our days, right? And so sometimes you want to put on that brave face, and sometimes you just need a day to sit and cry or wallow, whatever you need to do. It's okay to have those days when you don't want to fake it till you make it. You can choose when to talk about your cancer. It's your story. You don't have to tell everyone that and shout it from the rooftops. You can tell the people that matter to you. You have control over that. Again, find ways to help yourself relax. We've been talking about this. Be as active as you can, as you physically can. And we know that exercise, even walking or chair yoga, is incredibly helpful in preventing recurrence and just helping with a whole myriad of side effects. Look for things you enjoy, right? Try to find and tap into that joy. Find those creative outlets, find the things that bring you pleasure. Try to focus on what you can control. Sometimes it's organizing things. Sometimes it's organizing your life. Sometimes it's being involved in your healthcare, right? Taking active control and going to get those scans or the appointments. It might look different for different people, but focus on what you can control versus what you can't. And then let's not be afraid to ask for help. I think so many of us come to this as a last resort. I should be able to do it on my own. I should be stronger. I should be able to manage. In reality, this is a stress, cancer, all of this is bigger than any one of us. And asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign of being able to be vulnerable and be with your peers. And as I like to remind people, oftentimes we would not feel put at if our friends and loved ones came to us asking for help, but somehow we feel bad when we ask them. So we can always ask for help. So similar to coping strategies, coping skills are methods a person uses to deal with a stressful situation. So not all coping skills are necessarily good for us. There are more numbing things like numbing our emotions with alcohol or overeating or recreational drugs, or anything that puts too much stress on the body might be more harmful than helpful. So we want to make sure we do things like that in moderation, if at all. And in general, healthy coping skills tend to center around things that might be a distraction or self-care, grounding, might be an emotional release, a way to practice gratitude, or to challenge our perception of things. So some individual coping tools might include counseling or group support or expressive outlets. We've talked a lot about creativity and other meaningful activities, getting enough sleep, healthy eating, trying to be present with our loved ones or present in our life, staying connected to others, setting goals, and other various things, right? Again, this looks different for everybody. So these are some healthy outlet ideas. This is, again, not an exhaustive list. This is just a means of inspiration. You might also look at this list and say, clean, organized. And one person might say, oh, it's so soothing to me. And someone else will say, that is the worst form of torture I have ever heard of. So
I'm in that category.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no.
again, this is choose your own adventure. And this is for inspiration. This is not a checklist. You have to go through and check off each one and then I'm going to feel healthy. No, these are ideas. So what works for you, what feels good to you is going to feel different for someone else. This is meant for inspiration. And you know, you might have a whole host of other ideas that aren't on here.
Erin, and I'm sorry, I just want to
yeah.
quickly ask you a question because I know you talk to a lot of people, you lead groups and you work with our young adults. If you do most, is there a sense, and I've heard people say this, like, you know, I should know how to handle this, or this worked for that person, so it should work for me. And then if it doesn't, there's a sense of failure. What are your thoughts on, I know you're saying all the things right
Yeah.
now, like this is your list, you make it your own, but I know that I can be like, well, it should, that work for that person, so
Yeah.
it's going to work for me. So how do you help people sort of understand that it doesn't have to be that way? Does that
Yeah.
make
I mean, I
sense?
think we, you know, we are our own unique individuals, but I think especially when we're anxious, when we're stressed, when we're recovering from cancer, whatever the stressor is, we are often so desperate to try to grasp for some easy answer, right? And we see someone that has had success and we want to just apply that success to us and say, well, it worked for them. It must work for me too. And if it doesn't work for me, then I'm doing it wrong. And then we want to blame ourselves because that is what our brain does, right? If it didn't work for me, it must be my fault. When really it might just be not a good tool for you. Or not what you need in this moment. I think that sometimes can be surprising to people too, that there might be things that have been helpful to them in the past, but aren't working now like they used to. And so they get frustrated because they again think they're broken, that there's something wrong with them. When in reality, you know, you've evolved and maybe you're too distracted to sit and read a book, which used to be your escape. So maybe you need to do something that's a little more active because your brain just needs to find a way to quiet down versus, you know, so there's nothing wrong with you if it's not working. It's really an idea that we all need to kind of create our own little basket, as we've used at Smith Center before, of different tools and healthy outlets and things, and then choose what works for us in the moment. And again, everyone's basket is a little different. But yeah, we see that. I definitely see that a lot, right? As you
And my
said.
question is, and I know we're gonna have a
Yeah.
Q&A, is doing things that I enjoy but feeling guilty about doing it, such as, oh, I'm spending too much time. Reading is a good example. And as
Yeah.
you know, I share a lot of information on my distribution list. But before I send it out, I want to know what it says because it could be, oh, this is not for my audience. And then there are times when I start reading, and you know, in any report or article, every other line can have a link that you can click
Yeah.
on. And an hour later, you haven't gotten through that article because you've clicked on every link. And then suddenly it's, oh my God, I really need to put this down and move on to something else. So how do we manage the guilty feeling of doing something that we enjoy?
Yeah. That's a fantastic question. And I think my response to that is that I encourage us to start to let go of a little bit of that guilt, because I think a lot of this, I think what's helpful is to think about the origins of it, right? Like we are all caught up in this productivity society, right? If we're not producing, we're not of use, which if we say that out loud, it actually sounds pretty absurd, but we are in that mindset, right? We have to always be doing something productive. And if we're not doing something productive, what have we done with our life? What have we done with our day? And reality is maybe you've taken care of yourself. Maybe you've nourished your mind. Maybe you've nourished your soul. Maybe you've just had some rest. And rest is productive too, because we need to be able to feed our mind, feed our body, feed our soul, feed our body, re-energize in order to actually produce. So I think we often, so it's so common, right? People just feel guilty about taking care of themselves, or doing things that bring them pleasure, that they're not doing enough. But in reality, it's this idea of we have to fill our cup to pour into others. There's so many metaphors we could use here. But that my thought is that we need to start to try to find a way to let go of that guilt, because we are being productive. It just looks a little different.
I want, and Aaron, just real quick, I want to check in with Sergio. Did you have your hand up or is that just a waving at us?
I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Is your hand up? Do you have a question or?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
There is a question in the chat, though, that Cornetta is asking.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
40,
says-
African American, no family of cancer. How important is a mammogram? Uh,
Yeah.
yes. Hi, Seneca's mom. It's important. I mean, the new guidance shares that we should get a mammogram earlier. And as an African American woman, I would highly encourage you to get a mammogram.
And not all cancer is familial, like not all cancer is inherited, right? So
Right.
sometimes there is not a family history and you might get cancer. So you know, if you're at that age 40, if you're noticing anything that feels suspicious or off about your body, would absolutely advocate for you to go get a mammogram.
Yeah.
If nothing else, for peace of mind, just to make sure that it's not something bad.
And I think I'm the best example of, and again, not saying that the lump or bump that you see, Cornetta, is cancer, but I am a living example of someone who ignored a lump underneath my right arm. And which is another thing, it's not just a lump that may be on your breast. I didn't know back in 2006, I guess, when the when the lump first appeared underneath my arm, I did not even think about cancer because I always thought it was a bump or lump in your breast. And so it's evolved quite a bit. Just like at one point we were told that cancer doesn't normally, breast cancer doesn't, your breast doesn't normally hurt or there's pain. We now know that there can be pain.
That's right.
Or uncomfortable feeling with your breast. And so we should check that out. But early detection, as I tell people, you don't remember anything else. Early detection, not only in breast cancer, early detection in anything. If you think you have COVID, it's best to get it checked out because the outcomes are a lot better if we deal with them early. Mammograms are not perfect, but it is the best tool that we have now. And I would encourage everyone that if they have any abnormalities, not just women, because men get breast cancer also.
That's right.
But if there's anything out of the ordinary, I cannot stress that you get it checked out because I discovered the lump in September 2006 when I was about to go away on a trip, and I thought, oh, this can wait until I get back. And I kept putting it off until March of the next year. And at that point, I was diagnosed with a late stage 3B aggressive form of breast cancer, HER2 positive. And I am paying for what some could say my ignorance. I am paying for playing with my health. I am paying for knowing that not only that I had a small lump at one point, but that as it grew, I kept giving excuses and reasons not to go to the doctor. And as a result, I will pay for that mistake for the rest of my life. So if I can help someone from going through what I am going through, and many people think that this is easy because I'm always often smiling and on the go. But there's a part of me that masks how I truly feel. So if I can help to prevent anyone from masking or going through this journey, I would encourage you to do your mammograms just as a screening measure and safety, whether or not you feel any lumps or bumps. I would strongly encourage you to do a mammogram.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Sherry, I see your hand up. Do you want to ask a question?
I actually want to give a plug for the Smith Center that relates to the healthy outlets that you offer almost probably a program for everything on this list for free. But I lost my sister and I needed a support group. And I was like, I've heard you speak a million times. And it didn't make me like, oh, duh, I can go to Smith Center like that. So I did that for a while and then I was okay. But they have a program called Radical Writing. It's once a month on a Friday. I've been doing it for 4 years. Many people don't even have cancer. Many people just go because they're stressed out. It's led by the most unbelievable women. It's got a core group of people that always come. When new people come, they don't leave. And you do some breathing, you hear poems, there's a prompt, you write, you can share if you want, but you just feel the love, the community, and I wouldn't stop going. I mean, I'd schedule my life around it. So there's great things with Smith Center in all these categories for free.
Thank you, Sherry, for sharing your experience.
Donate.
I promise we did not pay you to.
Yeah, we did not pay Sherry to say that
Thank
at
you.
all. Thank you so much.
I was
But
just about to say, I was going to send you an invoice for that.
But this is a
Oh.
great list, Erin. Like even for me, like for all of us, whether we're dealing with cancer or life in general, this is a really great list of other things to do to help alleviate stress. So yeah.
And, I think the other, the sort of this idea of self-care, right? And this notion that, oh, self-care must mean I need to take a spa day. Like that's not really in the cards for everyone every day, right? And so self-care is not necessarily a spa day. Self-care is sometimes taking a few minutes to breathe, right? Eating a healthy meal. It's going for a walk around the block. It can be short bites. It can be long things. And sometimes, and you really need all of that, right? Because sometimes we only have a few minutes, sometimes we have longer. So ideally you will have multiple things that you can choose from and turn to when you need to. And of course, right, if you're experiencing severe distressing symptoms that last more than 2 weeks, you're really struggling, please don't suffer in silence. Please seek help. Oftentimes a primary care provider, a therapist are really great places to turn. There are obviously confidential free helplines available if you need them. So we're running a bit short on time. I did want to kind of run us through how to build an actual mental wellness plan. But instead of taking time to actually walk through each of the things, I think I'll just run through kind of what are the different areas. And if you want to jot down what those things are, and then in your own time later, maybe come back and fill in your plan, right? So that you can each come up with what is going to work for you. So the first thing I like to encourage people to do is spot your sort of mental health risks and what are your stressors, right? What are these things that cause you distress? They can be activities, they can be thoughts, they can be people, they can be places, they can be things. What are the things that stress you out, that, actively, regularly stress you out or are just stressing you out right now? Once you know your stressors, you can work to avoid them or you can work to manage them. But we need to know what are the things that are causing us stress. I can't tell you how many times I have started feeling stressful or stressed out. And I have to sit back and be like, okay, where is this coming from? Because it's not readily apparent and I need to actually identify it. You can then make changes to your habits, your lifestyle, your relationship, to then try to mitigate them. So the first step in your mental health wellness plan, if you want to mark this down so you can do it later, list 4 of your stressors. You can make a longer list if you want, but let's just start with 4.
You might get stressed out from stressing out about what's on
Right,
your
right.
list. So 4 is a good number.
Right. And it can change, right? What's stressing you out right now might be a different stressor in a year. So the second part is, what are your warning signs? So warning signs are symptoms like thoughts, feelings, behaviors that might indicate your mental wellness is at risk. What are the things that you notice that happens to you when you are starting to feel stressed out? Maybe you sleep more than usual. Maybe you sleep less. Maybe you start to socially isolate. Maybe you feel stressed. Maybe you have in the moment body sensations like heart racing, stomach and knots. What are those physical cues that you have? Again, knowing your warning signs allows you to begin managing the symptoms before they become too intense. I will also say, if you don't know what your warning signs are, it's okay. So many people are taught to shove this down and ignore it. It will take time to figure out what they are. And so really it starts by mindfulness, right? Starting to pay attention to when I'm feeling stressed out, what is going on in my body? And that's your first step. So don't feel bad if you don't know how to answer this question right now. Just start to notice. You will begin to figure out over time, what are my warning signs? So the second part of the plan is coming up with 4 of your warning signs. So the third step is thinking about the self-care, right? So self-care activities, we said, are the things that we do regularly to maintain our mental health. Eating well, exercising, socializing, engaging in hobbies, going to radical writing once a month, doing yoga, whatever those things are. Talking with family and friends, going out to dinner on Friday nights. It can be lots of different things, as we've been saying. In general, a healthy lifestyle makes you more resilient to stress, and choosing these self-care activities it's helpful to choose ones that can become habits or a regular part of your day or your week or your month. So the next part of this is list 3 self-care activities that you can practice regularly. Make them realistic. It's probably not realistic for most of us to say, I'm going to get a weekly massage. How amazing would that be? I don't know that that's definitely not in the cards for me. So make it something that is attainable. I'd encourage you to make it something that's attainable. And then the fourth part is coping strategies. So coping strategies, again, are these skills that really help you manage problems or symptoms when they arise. So I'm feeling these stressors. What am I going to do? Okay, I know that doing a couple breathing exercises usually helps me to calm down, or going to a yoga class would really help me calm down, or taking out my journal and just free writing, doing painting, going and doing exercise, whatever it is for you. Again, this is different for everyone. Talking to a friend, calling your mom, right? There are so many different things. So what are 3 coping strategies that you can use when you start to feel these warning signs, right? And then secondary to this, list 3 people or places you can turn to for support. And places can be this group, Smith Center. It could be your church. It could be a community center that you're really active in. It again looks different for everyone, but what are these strategies and what are these people and places that you can turn to when you're feeling stressed? So I have 2 more kind of things that I can share with you, but I know we are running short on time, so I don't want to go over. So if we feel like we should move on, I think this is a good stopping point.
Go ahead, Thelma.
No, I was going to say that might be a good idea, because we did hijack your presentation with a lot of questions, and there's one more that I see that I should, or we should answer, because it is an important one. And I'm trying to see who the question is why are mammograms only encouraged at 40 plus? And then she said, this is great information. So, well, one of the reasons why, and Julia and the rest of you feel free to jump in and add this. One of the main reasons why it's recommended at that age, I sort of look at it like that's the midlife kind of age. But a more technical and scientific answer is that there are organizations, for instance, I think it's the Society of Breast Imaging and the US, what is it, USPTF, United States Preventative Task Force, have discovered that 1 in 6 women of average risk develop breast cancer between the ages of 40 to 50. So that is a scientific or a technical reason as to why we do it at 40. However, that's average risk. I think the American Cancer Society has on record the earliest person with breast cancer is like, I think it's 12 years old, but it's definitely less than 13. So average risk, you should start at 40. However, if you have a history of breast cancer, or if you don't have a history of breast cancer and find some type of abnormality, you should cross out the age of 40 and go and get yourself checked out immediately, regardless if you are 19 or 20, because I know a lot of women in their 20s who not only have breast cancer, they have triple negative breast cancer, which is one of the worst forms of breast cancer that you can get. Julia, the rest may want to add something to that.
So thank you for articulating that and answering that question. I think it's an important one. And the public is often confused because guidelines shift over time as our data matures and as cultures change and people's lifespans expand. It used to be the case that they recommended, the USPSTF, the United States Preventive Services Task Force recommended that you have a mammogram, a baseline, sometime between 40 and 50, and then annually starting at age 50. But those guidelines keep shifting. I mean, one of the best places to go to for assistance in interpreting it, of course, is your primary care physician to say, you know, please share with me what the new standards are, because these do evolve over time. And it's also going to be, as Thelma points out, individualized to your past history, whether there is any history of cancer in your family, or you've ever had any, biopsies or any problems with your breast, your breastfeeding history, your birth history, et cetera. So there are other things that might increase the likelihood that you want to do early screening versus not. And that's a great question to ask. I mean, I think there are no, as Erin keeps telling us, there are no stupid questions here. All your questions need to be answered. And so you understand the logic behind this so you can take really good care of yourself. Because as Thelma notes, early detection is for breast cancer at this point is probably our best tool for ensuring that people are going to, recover and do well after a breast cancer diagnosis.
I just want to throw out genetic testing, and I know that Thelma's a big fan, but as an Ashkenazi Jew, where there's a big prevalence of cancer, genetic testing must be done, and people avoid it because it's BRCA is a genetic part of that cancer, and it involves not good things, but prevention is better than what you're going to get. And I know too many families that avoid it, and the outcome is death.
Sherry, thank you for adding that. That's so important. Is I think there's sort of this tension in here between genetic testing when there is any evidence of some kind of family lineage in here, or you're in an at-risk population. And then the flip side is the reality that at present of the tests we know about for breast cancer, and that's it accounts for, or it's associated with, a very small proportion of the actual cancer. So just because you don't have a family history actually doesn't make a difference. If you have a family history, you're going to have a different approach to this. But most women who develop cancer don't have a history.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Thelma and Julia, and thank you, Sherry, for adding that. And I mean, this is important message for all all women here to, you know, get your mammograms regularly. And if you have never had one, don't delay and do them on regularly. Well, Erin, Erin, go ahead.
I was just going to add it. And if you're nervous to get the mammogram, if you're scared about it, don't feel bad or stupid about it. Can be very stressful. And so again, like that might be your stressor is going to get the mammogram. So do the things to help you cope and get through that, and take a friend, and don't feel bad. You don't have to go through it alone. Even the screening part can be stressful. So please don't feel bad if that is stressing you out, but please do, grab a friend and go have them help you, support you through it.
Yeah, Erin, I was just about to say, take someone with you if you're anxious about going by yourself. Yeah.
Your personal bosom buddy.
Yes. Or if you need help in scheduling it, I'd be more than happy to help do that.
That's right. I'm sure Thelma would help. I mean, there's a lot of support to get you there. So you're not alone in this.
The other thing I think is very stressful is that you used to get your result there, but now they're so backed up, you have to wait to get a letter in the mail. It's ridiculous.
I can't agree with
So
you.
that is incredibly, that they are creating stress. So,
Exactly.
really be mindful and talk to someone before you go so you know what to expect. And they really should tell people before you even go that we're not going to tell you today. So know that you're not going to hear, but that doesn't mean you have breast cancer. It makes me crazy because people that have gone for years are used to knowing when they leave.
That's right.
And like, you'll get a letter in the mail in 7 to 10 days, which is never 7 to 10 days. So that is awful in my
Yeah, you're absolutely.
They will change that.
You're absolutely right, Jerry. There's so many things with our healthcare system that adds to the stress of already going through the test or what you're going through. So we all deserve better. But Erin, thank you, for that wonderful presentation and teaching and helping us figure out like how to handle stress and creating our own mental health wellness plan. And this is very aligned with the kind of thinking and the kind of work we do at Smith Center. So I hope that you got a little taste of who we are and what we try to help people deal with what's going on in their lives as relates to their cancer diagnosis and other life challenges, because many people that come through our doors, as Sherry mentioned, don't have cancer, but they're on the journey of wellness and health and healing, whatever that looks like for them. But we're going to turn to this time in our time together where there's some partnership updates. And Thelma, I'm going to let you handle that.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you again, Erin. And I apologize in a good way that we hijacked your presentation. It was so great. It just inspired other questions. So thank you again.
Fine. It needed to be what it was. It was what it needed to be. There you go.
Yeah. And we look forward to sharing it on the website. So there are more questions. Hopefully people can review it and maybe email one of the two of us. So as Lisa said, we're moving now to our partnerships. As we all know, that work is better achieved oftentimes when we are in good partnerships. And so 3 of our partnerships that we are working with now will give a brief update. And my son, Jamal Jones, and my grandson will be talking about making strides against breast cancer as team leaders. Now, neither one of them are on camera right now, so I'm giving them a clue to come on camera within the next 3 minutes. And I will allow Jessica Rivera to share with us about a little bit about yourself and the grant work that you are doing, and you've invited the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund to be a part of it. So Jessica.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes. we can.
Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. And it was a great presentation. So I can tell you a little bit about me first. So I'm originally from Puerto Rico, so this is where you hear like that accent. Born and raised there. My training is in clinical health psychology. I am now currently working at MedStar Health Research Institute for almost the past 2 years as a research scientist in implementation science. Um, and today I wanted, to have the opportunity to present about a project that I'm working in collaboration with Thelma Jones, and it's funded by DC Health. It's about breast cancer treatment engagement. That's the title of the study. But basically, we want to have a better understanding of breast cancer patient experiences with their cancer diagnosis and what are the barriers that they might be facing for treatment engagement, and to try to to have a better understanding and be able to create some strategies to help patients across DC to get, the right treatment, be able to engage in treatment in a timely manner, and be able to, get the information that they need to make an informed decision. So this is more, this is the first stages of this study. So we're more in the exploratory phases of trying to have a better understanding of what are the barriers of what is going on for the patients in DC. So we have to do that, we're going to be doing a survey with breast cancer patients that have been diagnosed in the past 5 years. And we will ask them in the survey questions about their experience with their diagnosis, challenges with treatment, why, if they have to delay the treatment, what were the reasons, if they have to stop or decline or decide not to get breast cancer treatment as recommended by the doctor, what were the reasons, and so on. And if any of you, you were the breast cancer patients that were able to, engage in a timely manner and had all the support that you needed, you're still welcome to participate, because as I am aware of, you breast cancer patients have a lot of opportunity to talk to other breast cancer patients during treatment. So most likely you will have also some insight about what were things that could get in the way for other breast cancer patients to get the treatment that they need. And, also like what things would have been helpful for you. So, so that's a way of participating in the study, doing the survey. You can do it either we send a link for you to complete the survey online, or you can do it by phone. It's available in English and Spanish, and you will receive $25 for completing the survey. That takes about 30 minutes to complete. And the other opportunity is also we'll be doing an interview. So for the interview, we're focusing more on patients who had to delay their treatment, that they stopped their treatment. So they started and then something happened and they have to stop their treatment, or they just decided that they didn't want to go ahead with treatment. We are also welcoming, if the patient doesn't want to participate, we're also welcoming like caregivers or spouses that, were involved in the treatment decision, that we could also interview instead of the patient, to provide the insights about, how the information was presented to the patient, or the patient talking about their experience, how the doctor talk about the different treatment options, and like the process of making that decision, and what were the barriers, or what things could have been helpful for them, or other people to be able to engage in their cancer treatment as recommended by the doctor. For this, it will take about 1 hour to complete. We can do it either by Teams, like very similar to this meeting Zoom, or by phone. So we will just call you and then do the interview by phone. and then you will receive a compensation of $50. So those are the two opportunities or two ways that you could like participate in this project and support this project. Thelma has the flyer, so she will help in the distribution if you're interested. But this is my information, my personal info. So this is my email, my contact information, and my phone number. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. That's it. Thelma, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. And my apologies that Jessica, that I didn't address you as Dr. Jessica Rivera.
It's yeah, so like in Puerto Rico, like so you know, like we the parents like pass their first last name to their children, so that's why I'm Rivera.
Okay. So,
Jessica, I have a quick question.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's too late, but in your interviews,
Mhm.
People may not reveal this. I'm a quadriplegic. I'd be very interested for you to find out and get, because there's not a lot of data.
Mhm.
If people didn't go or they had trouble with their provider or the facility because of a disability.
Yeah, so in the survey we have we have multiple different options, but we also have an open-ended question. So if all like we have like 18 different options of like why they didn't participate. Like we have like transportation, and we have like everything that we can think of, and we have a lot of people who review it. I think disability is there, but if it's not there, it's also we have the open-ended question that could be added. So I would just take a look. But thank you for pointing that out.
Because people won't write it in the open ended.
Okay.
So try to put a box.
Okay. Thank you.
That data is critical. We
Yes.
need data. And once you get it, if you have disability data, I can help you get it to good people that will use it. So that will help your survey.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. Thank you for letting me know. Thanks.
okay, thank you. And the next up on the list of partners, or not only partners, they're family members. It is my son, Jamal O. Jones, and his son, Seneca O. Jones. They will be our team leaders for the TDJ Dynamic Striders for making strides against breast cancer. The Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund, in partnership with Undaunted Determination, which is led by Sherry Dickinson Trott, have been actively involved in making strides for more than a decade, and we have raised over $100,000, and much of that is to Sherry's hard and dedicated work. But so this year, Jamal and Seneca will be our team leaders. So Jamal, can you just give us a little bit about
Hi, yes, sure. Good evening. My name is Jamal Jones. I'm an ambassador for the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund and a team captain for the TDJ Dynamic Strides, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer team. In 2007, at age 55, my mother was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of breast cancer. I was 25 years old then. I am now 42 and a father. And since then, I've been a part of the fight against breast cancer, and having participated in many Making Strides cancer walks along with my son, Seneca, who's here with us tonight. It's important to support breast cancer foundations and research, as education and early detection are keys to helping reduce the incidence and mortality rates for breast cancer, especially for women of color, who are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer. My mother regularly says that early detection saves lives and creates better outcomes. and I believe and I support her efforts in that regard. The American Breast Cancer Society continually reminds us women with cancer are I apologize. Women with breast cancer on average are diagnosed at the age at 60, while 1 in 5 Black women with breast cancer are diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which is harder to treat. Black women have the lowest 5-year relative breast cancer survival rate of any racial or ethnic group. With statistics like that, it's a no-brainer for me to be involved. My contribution goal to the team TDJ Striders is $3,500. In my previous Real Men Wear Pink fundraiser, I raised over $3,000. We have already raised nearly $500, so I invite you to help the TDJ Dynamic Striders reach our goal of $3,500 by December 31st, 2024. This is my opportunity to help support the life-saving services and programs that both ACS and the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund provide in pursuit of a world free of breast cancer. It is also an opportunity to continue to help and educate my son about breast cancer. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing from you and helping us to achieve our goal by this year's end. We'll drop the link in the chat below, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. And now my grandson, Jamal's son, will let us know how he's going to help out.
Thank you, Dad, and good evening. I'm trying to follow my dad's footsteps to continue our support for my grandmother, or Nana, as I always call her. I was only 2 years old when my Nana developed breast cancer. One of the reasons she has been in the fight was not just for herself and others. It was also because she wanted to see me grow up and be successful and succeed in the fight of this mean and ugly disease. She has been my hero in the fight against cancer, and I want my Nana to be around for a long, long time. So I am helping with the fight also. So can my dad and I count on you to help us achieve the goal of $3,500? Thank you.
Am I the only one clapping for my son and grandson? Thank you both, Jamal and Seneca, and we look forward to
Woohoo!
reaching our goal of $3,500 with making strides against breast cancer, because the funds raised do so much to help with research and providing a variety of programs from Road to Recovery, Reach to Recovery. They help with mammograms if you're unable to afford one. They have 1-800 service that you can call them anytime. So helping us to reach our goal will be helping thousands of other men and women in the fight against breast cancer. So thank you. And now we will turn to Dr. Danielle Smith. And this is something that has affected me throughout my breast cancer, and that's oral challenges. I actually remember challenging and changing dentists because my dentist very early in the game was not familiar with the challenges that heavy chemotherapy creates. And he literally did not believe me when I said to him that I think it was caused by the chemotherapy. I said, "You have my dental records. I'm the person who was here religiously when I was supposed to have my exams. I don't have problems with my teeth." And then all of a sudden, I was hit with problems of dental about 5 years afterwards. And believe it or not, I'm going through it. Just 2 weeks ago, I had very heavy major dental surgery. So I'm going to let our expert tell you, Danielle Smith, about what Georgetown is doing to educate us about the challenges of oral health as it relates to cancer.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Ms. Thelma, for the opportunity. I'm gonna just share.
And just please tell us a bit about yourself,
Absolutely.
Danielle.
For sure. Yes, so my name is Danielle Smith. I am a postdoctoral researcher at the Georgetown Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center. And as a part of my role, I also work within the Ralph Lauren Center for Cancer Prevention, which has partnered with the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund for some time now. So we are working on a new project that is funded by the Georgie Richmond Foundation, but we're really trying to understand the connection between oral and systemic health. We know much that the oral health of cancer survivors is detrimentally impacted by cancer treatment, particularly chemotherapy, radiation therapy causing things like dry mouth and like mouth sores. And so when patients experience some of these oral health issues, it can lead to care providers changing maybe the dosage of their treatment or the frequency of their cancer treatment, which impact just overall treatment efficacy and how well the cancer is being treated for the patient. And so we also know that when cancer survivors experience some of these oral health complications, that just their quality of life can be impacted as well. So making it hard to chew and swallow and things like that. Some research says that targeting oral health can actually improve overall health in cancer survivors, but we haven't really tested that systematically. And so that's what we're trying to do with this research study here. And so we have developed the FLOSS Project, which stands for Facilitated Lessons on Oral and Systemic Health in Survivors. And it really is it's all about understanding how can we use something that's accessible, right? So telehealth being available, just like we're on Zoom like this, how can we use something that's accessible for cancer survivors to be able to understand if using this can promote their oral and overall health. So this study is actually a year-long study that involves 6 months of intervention and 6 months of follow-up. And so people who are eligible simply just have to be cancer survivors. The only caveat is that they can't have had head or neck cancer because those particular cancer survivors have kind of more pronounced effects or kind of more, their oral health is impacted kind of worse by their treatment just simply because of the site of their radiation or chemotherapy. And so cancer survivors ages 25 to 75 are eligible, and they just have to own a smartphone. So it's very open here. And what it involves is that depending on the group that you're randomized to, you may be able to receive 6 months of one-on-one coaching about your oral and systemic health. So participants have their own personal coach. They do things like goal setting, particularly around their oral health and their overall health. So they may make goals around kind of what they're eating and if they're smoking and things like that. They also get education around some of the common risk factors that are shared between oral and systemic health, like diet, alcohol, and smoking. And so they had to have that one-on-one opportunity to be able to move towards getting better oral health for themselves and just overall health as a whole. We do have assessments to be able to see, is this project actually working? And so that does involve a couple of things. One would be a blood sample. We're trying to understand kind of at the system level if there are any changes. And then we also get a saliva sample where we're trying to see in the mouth if there are changes as a result of this intervention. And then we also take pictures of the teeth and the gums as well. And then participants would complete an online survey. And so we do that at baseline, right at the start of the study, 6 months, and then 12 months. And then participants are compensated $25 at each of those time points. So if you're interested or know someone who may be, you can absolutely scan this QR code to fill out our screener form and someone from our team will contact you. But you can also simply just email myself or our study email account. really passionate about kind of figuring this out because there's not too much research out there at all about this connection. And so just appreciate the opportunity to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And for once, I'm eligible to participate in one of the research studies that the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund is partnered with, because usually I'm either too young or too old. And so this one I'm happy to be a part of. Thank you again. And so I understand that Sherry Dinkinson-Trott wants to tell us about her being a moth, as one of your friends called you. So Sherry, do you want to tell us about the exciting event that you're participating in?
Well, I never knew about this, and I'm embarrassed, but for those native Washingtonians, the Capitol Fringe Festival is going on right now. It's really, I'm sure Lisa knows about it, because it's very full of the arts. It's to promote cultural arts. It's poetry, singing, all kinds of things. So I'm a storyteller, and there are 3 shows this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just go to capitolfringe.org/events. I'll put it in the chat. We got a 4.5 star review on our first show. On last Friday, it was sold out, and it is authentic. Storytelling is amazing. If you've never been to one, go to one and come to our show. So I'll put the link in the chat.
Thank you, Sherry. And I'll certainly send it out again on our distribution list.
Congrats, Sherry.
Yes. Okay. So that ends the part about our partnerships efforts. Thank you for allowing the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund to help you achieve your goals in your research work. I want to thank all of our guests this evening, particularly having the opportunity again to have another exciting, informative, and engaging meeting with Smith Center for Healing and the Arts. I think of the 6 times that you have been here, tonight, I believe, was one of the most engaging one. And I think it's interesting how the questions around mammography or screening played into this. It was very good questions that others needed to hear and have the answers about as well. Thank you, Aaron, of course, again, for that wonderful presentation, and we look forward to posting that on our website. Julia, what can I say? We were so fortunate to have you here with us. Some of you may have missed when I was telling about, or you may have missed when Lisa also was telling about the wonderful career that Julia Rowland has had in the cancer space, and particularly around cancer survivorship. So she is our great star here this evening. And Julia, we're just so wonderful to have you in our presence. Okay.
The pleasure is mine, always, Thelma, always.
Oh, you're welcome. And of course, thank you, Lisa, for emceeing this and taking us through this. And we look forward to staying in touch. We've been in Smith Center and you have been in touch for a long time, and I don't foresee this going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, you're stuck with us, Thelma. I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're stuck with us. So.
And so if it's not in this form of an annual event, there will be another opportunity that we will still remain engaged. And I certainly want to thank Doctors Jessica Rivera and Dr. Danielle Smith for their presentation on the projects that they are working on, and that we look forward to sharing your slides on our website so that we can help to achieve the recruitment goal. And also, I want to thank our webmaster, Sergio Jimenez, who has helped to get us through it. And knock on wood, for once, we didn't have any major technical problems. And I don't know if I should be saying that too loud because we haven't quite ended it. But thank you. I also want to thank my son, Jamal Jones, and my grandson, Seneca. And tomorrow, Seneca will turn 14 years old. So can we just quickly sing happy birthday to Seneca? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Seneca. Happy birthday to you. Yay.
Have many more.
Thank you. And he turns 14 years old. Okay. And I know we'll take a few minutes before I turn it over to Lisa to do the closing, but we just want to invite our guests, if you weren't a part of the program, to introduce yourself. And we're going to start with Angie Walker.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Thelma, happy birthday, Seneca. And I am an ambassador to the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund, and I am a 26-year breast cancer survivor, and I give it all to God for blessing me. So, and I thank you all for being here, and what we do is to help others. So I thank you all.
Thank you. Scarlett, who will give us our blessing in a few minutes.
Good evening, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to hear the speakers give such valuable information, whether you are a cancer patient, a friend of a cancer person who survived cancer, just to be aware of all of the studies and the help that's out there. I was a caregiver for 33 years, and it has been very beneficial to me to be able to refer people to the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Support Group. And I found that the people I referred have come away feeling much more equipped to manage their diagnosis. So, and I'm also a member of the board and an ambassador. And a lot of times, whatever Thelma said, I will be at the moment. So thank you again for allowing me to participate in this particular program.
Thank you. And Scarlett is on virtually from California. So she's been a California girl this evening. Okay. And Sherry, I know you've you've spoken already, but you want to take 30 seconds just to tell us, to introduce you, a part of you that you haven't already told us about?
I am the same number of years survivor as the age of the support group, so it's easy to remember. And I got involved with making strides, and that was my way to get out my stress. So that was a really positive thing. I'm so excited for Seneca and Jamal, and I'm going to be cheering them on their team. And I have a disability, and so I am a strong advocate for accessible healthcare. And I got to give kudos to Thelma and her newsletter team, who sent me an article today about stuff I didn't even know about, something going on in Europe with robotics to help women. Talk about getting a mammogram when you have a disability. It is like ugly gymnastics. So I'm excited. There are things on the horizon, lots to work on, lots to do, but we can do it if we work together as a village. So thank you.
Thank you. Our ambassadors bring with them a wealth of expertise. And as you can see, Sherry is a staunch advocate for breast cancer survivors with disabilities and disabilities in general. So we are so fortunate to have her dedication, commitment, and her expertise to bring to this space. And every November, we have a meeting dedicated specifically to people with people with disabilities, with a special focus around breast cancer survivors, where we partner with the Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation, the Superman Foundation, as I tell everybody. I'm sure they don't like for me calling it that way, but to help people to identify who we're talking about. We're talking about Christopher Reed, who played Superman for years. And have we, Quinetta, are you still there? Okay, I know Quinetta Tyler, Seneca's mom, was on the phone, and I know that there are a number of people, and I never know this until after the meeting, and I get emails or texts. I was on Facebook and I kept texting you or you didn't respond. So to all of the people in Facebook land, thank you very much for being a part of this wonderful meeting. And I will now, I hope I didn't omit anyone. I will now turn it back over to you, Lisa, for closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Thelma, and thank you everyone who's been here tonight. I think the thing that I think I'll say what I started with, which is that, you know, our mission at Smith Center is to help people, and that no one goes through this journey alone. And I think that you, Thelma, have the same mission with Thelma D. Jones Support Breast Cancer Fund and the support group. And I think that's why we are such kindred spirits, because we really want to serve and help people. And everyone here tonight has that same mission and that same aim. Whereas the wonderful research projects we heard about, which is trying to further the research and help people, or people who are just willing to answer the phone, answer the mammogram questions, all of that is so important. And I just hope that, you know, we continue to partner with you. And as I said, you haven't gotten rid of us, even if our annual activity may not be there, but we will always be part of this family and always here for you. And I know you'll be here for Smith Center as well. I encourage others, as the presentation tonight that we put together and Erin did so well, sharing, if you are, you know, as you're dealing with these stressors, you know, and community is a big one. And that's why having the support group is so important. But if you'd like to add other things to your toolkit, as Sherry so wonderfully mentioned, we have a host of other things: yoga, meditation, creativity. You know, we offer all sorts of other supports, so you can create that basket of support. We call it your healing basket, but you can, whatever basket you want to call it, if we can be part of your toolkit, we encourage you to visit www.smithcenter.org, and we'll be sharing the presentation as well. And to check out our programs, many of which are still virtual, some in our in-person U Street location. But if there's something that we can support you with, we want to be there to be that partner with you as we go on this journey. So I will just say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Thelma, for the partnership, for the opportunities. Always learn so much from you, and I will continue to, I'm sure. And I think we can turn it over for the closing.
Yes, Scarlett.
To Scarlett, yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. This is the conclusion to another fantastic program, as always. Like I always say, I never know where Thelma gets these top shelf speakers from that are reputable and very informative. So if we could just close our eyes. I believe in God, so whatever your higher spiritual focus may be, I ask you to lean into that. And this is my closing blessing for this evening. Is I want to thank God for each speaker that we had this evening. Thank you for their service, the programs that they support, the people that they help to navigate through whatever their journey might be. Thank you, Father, for letting us know that not only must we be concerned about our physical health, but also our emotional health. Thank you for allowing us to understand that self-care is not selfish, that we all should practice taking care of this vessel that we have been given to walk around this earth with. Father, thank you for Jamal and Seneca for leading up the programs that they will lead up this year. Thank you for all the participants that will contribute in their time, kind of service, or monetarily, Father, to continue to support the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. Father, I want everyone who, even as they travel their cancer journey, know that there's no limit to how far they will go, and that they stay faithful and also encouraged to fight a good fight. Thank you for all those along the way who are helping each and every person to reach their full potential, and their zest for life will continue. Thank you, God, again for allowing us to assemble this evening. Thank you for the organization, all of the participants, the medical staff, the support staff, for all their contribution to the well-being of our community. And in closing, Father, I want to say, let us continue on this journey together. Let us encourage each person so that no one will walk this journey alone. Thank you for our facilitators. And again, Father, the rich speakers that we received this evening. In the precious name of Jesus, let us all say amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.
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 Thank you for that beautiful prayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
And thank
Have
you.
a great evening. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. That's part of self-care as well.
Yeah, I really don't want to go. This was so nice, but because
Yeah.
I do have a list, a to-do list to do, I'm going to say goodnight, and we look forward to posting this, right, Sergio?
Yes, please share with Miss Thelma your presentations in slides, and I'll make sure when I have them from her that I'll post it on the website.
Beautiful.
And we did record this, right?
Exactly. This is recorded and will be being uploaded to YouTube, Facebook, and the website.
Yeah, so you get to relive this wonderful 2 hours as many times as you'd like, and please share it generously.
And people, COVID is still out there and it's upticking. So please be careful, especially in California, Scarlett. The wastewater numbers went sky high. So we're coming out of the water and people are getting it and it's hitting them hard.
It is. My sister, her husband, and their daughter and son-in-law just got back from a cruise, and I am not exaggerating. My brother-in-law has had COVID 5 times. I told him he has won the award for COVID. My sister, his wife, has had it 3 times, and they boarded a coach from North Carolina to Florida to
no way, I wouldn't do
the cruise. And apparently there was a young lady that was coughing from the time the bus left the facility, and that one of them, a few of them commented to her, like, why are you coughing like that? You don't have COVID. And of course, she did not have it. And so
put a
they
mask on her.
went to Florida on that bus. She's on the ship. There's been information that a lot of people on the cruise had it. I said, I guess so. If she gave it to you on the bus, all of you.
Oh, y'all just spread it.
And so I just thought that was so rude of her. And I asked her, did I know her? She says, no. I said to Mo, it's good that Thelma doesn't know her because she'll call the lady up and I said, and I'm coming to North Carolina. I'll knock on her door and tell her how rude that was. But it's not somebody that I know. But I just thought that was so insensitive.
Yeah, it's really
not about you, it's the other people. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, I was one of the few people on the plane coming over that was wearing a mask. So
Yeah.
I believe in doing as much as I can on my end, as well as keeping up with my vaccinations.
Protect yourself
Yeah,
That's right.
against others. Yep.
yeah.
Good night, all.
Okay, good night. That was
Bye,
our
thank you.
PSA for
Thank
COVID.
you
Good
so
night.
much.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Be well.
All right, bye-bye.
Please.